Good evening. Welcome to this month's Town Administrator's Report. I'm David Watts Jr., and with me is our Town Administrator Steve Maio. Steve, welcome.
Thank you, David. How are you?
Doing
Is
well.
it October 19th or August 19th today? I can't figure it out. 80 degrees outside.
It is a little warm for October, but we're going to have a rude awakening in about 24 hours.
That's okay.
So we'll be
Nice
back
and
to
cool.
October
I like it nice and
soon
cool.
enough. Soon enough. But we're going to be jumping ahead a little bit to November. November 7th is regular town meeting.
Yep.
Monday. It'll be the day before Election
Day before Election Day. We're doubling down here in Wakefield.
But the nice thing is, it looks like it's going to be a fairly quick and easy town meeting.
I'm always afraid of those words, quick and easy, because it never works out that day. But I think it's going to be a hopefully non-controversial. Let's put it that way.
So we only have 9 articles this year,
Yes.
which is very unusual even for a regular town meeting. Usually we're in double digits.
Yeah, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean,
Yeah.
it really depends. We've had years that we've had less. I mean, this year there are all the contracts are settled, so there's no labor articles. There are no zoning articles at this town meeting. Thank God there are no zoning articles.
We're saving those.
We're
all
saving
of those
all
up
for the
next
spring.
May.
Yeah, for the spring. So I think that this will be kind of more of a run-of-the-mill norm, I hope.
Kind of, sort of.
Kind of, sort of.
But let's. Article 1 is the standard report of where we are at this point in the fiscal year.
Where we are at this point, and where we, and maybe as or more importantly, where we ended up last fiscal year on June 30th. And this has been in front of the Board of Selectmen, and Finance Committee is aware of this. Actually, pretty good, and we've come a long way as a community over the last 8 years, 9 years. We've our reserves are healthy. We've got some projects underway. Almost an unlimited number of things that we need to continue doing.
Sure.
But I think when you look at the past few years, and we end up a little over $9 million in free cash. We've got a beautiful new Galvin school. We're looking at some of our other buildings, our infrastructure and things like that. We've also, I think, worked on and continue to work on a lot of the social components that we need to do at Wakefield. So I think that all in all, not too bad. So I'm fairly happy with that.
So a good upbeat report.
Good upbeat report, and the departments returned about $800,000 to the coffers last year. Very important to note, and I've discussed this with the selectmen and the finance committee, is that doesn't mean that next year we're going to cut budgets by $800,000, because some things you never know. For instance, the winter of 2015-16 was benign when you think about a couple of years ago when we went over budget $2 million removing snow, like the rest of the world did. This year we returned $115,000 of what we budgeted for snow. Not going to cut that budget, because we don't know what's going to happen next year. But that was nice. That was a nice bonus to have, instead of going the other way. And the department heads do a really good job of, trying to get the best out of their budgets, and when they can cut corners, not cut corners, when they can cut costs, they do. And I think that really speaks to all of them on the hard work that they do here. And, we're not going to say that, geez, your budget for this line item was $10,000 last year. You only spent $9,000. Let's cut it to $9,000. No, because next year you may have to. So they need to feel that, hey, they do a good job, and we've got their back in either case. So I think that'll be a pretty good upbeat report.
Free cash.
Yes.
That's Article 2.
Article 2, and this is a normal article. It's there every year.
Basically a housekeeping article.
Well, it is a housekeeping article, but it might be a little bit more than that, because we really, the Board of Assessors are setting a tax rate, and the selectmen will decide how that is going to shift between, commercial and residential. But really, unlike the federal government, we need to balance our budget. And what we do in the November town meeting is we balance our budget to say we're using a portion of our reserves to provide the services that the citizens demand and deserve, and provide the services that we voted on at town meeting. And we know in June, we know going into the fall town meeting that we're going to have to use a portion of free cash. Because what we don't know at the town meeting in June, or in May, I guess, is what the exactly what the state aid is going to be. We have a good idea, but that could change. We don't know what new growth, new taxation into town is going to be. We have an idea, but that could change. And we don't know what the state is going to certify us as having free cash is. So we do know now that our state has certified us at $9.1 million in free cash, which is really above what our policy would be to have free cash. So, and we also know that 3 years ago or 2 years ago, we embarked upon a pretty aggressive funding scheme, particularly with the school department, to say that you have certain areas that are underfunded. We know special ed was underfunded. They needed some new curriculum materials, technology, and we really had kind of a forklift upgrade of about 11% a couple of years ago. Now, the deal was that for the next 3 years, I'll try to push it to 4, but for the next 3 years, the department would come in at around 4%, which they did last year, to their credit, because again, they have an unlimited list of needs, as all departments do. And we knew that part and parcel of that was that our tax levy would not catch up with that initially, but we would over time. So part and parcel of this is that we knew we were going to use around 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 million in free cash. We knew that going in. So that's of no surprise to anybody. But what we decided to look at this year is that, the town has $9 million in free cash. It has another $3 million in stabilization. For a budget of $80+ million a year, $12 million in those reserves is pretty good. It's actually excellent. So the Board of Selectmen have talked about this. We talked about it at our meeting. And on the 24th, they're actually going to decide what they're going to do. But they've asked me to put together what the program would be if we decided that we were not going to go the full 2.5% on the tax levy. So we will be presenting. I met with Victor Santinello, our assessor. Our accountant, Kevin Gill, and I have met. We will be presenting to the board for their approval on Monday the 24th, going 1.5% increase on the taxes. No one's taxes are going to go down. They just won't go up as much.
Right.
I don't want anybody to think, their taxes are going down. Never happens. I'm sorry. We're working on that, too. So what that means is that we use a little bit more in free cash. So the free cash will go up to around $2 million to balance the budget. Now, that is very prudent. It's very healthy. We're still at $7 million, which is still at more than 10% of our budgets every year. So I'm very comfortable with that. I think the Finance Committee will be comfortable. The Board of Selectmen will be comfortable. So that, there might be a little bit more discussion on Article 2 than we've had before. I mean, some years we've said we're only going to use $300,000 in free cash. Some years last year we used almost over $3.5 million in free cash. So we've been doing really well. And free cash comes in on two levels. Departments return money so they don't spend what's budgeted, or other revenues come in higher than we thought.
Sure.
And here's where I get teased incessantly by the Finance Committee that I, in their mind, am very conservative on other revenue coming in. Well, you know what? I don't know how many building permits we're going to have. I don't know that we're going to sell a piece of tax title property for a huge profit. I don't know that FEMA is going to give us an extra $200,000 for something that happened last year. That's all great to have them. I'd much rather have that discussion than say, guys, I was under the other way. So
Sure.
I think there'll be some discussion on that, but I think it's great. And what we end up doing is that we say to the taxpayers, hey, the town of Wakefield is going to leave $600,000 on the table that we could have taxed everybody who's a taxpayer in town. That's going to remain in your pocket, okay? And what that means is that the average single-family home, it's about $60 a year. It's not a huge amount, but hey, $60 is $60.
Sure.
And for the average commercial business, because their values are higher, it's about $300. So I think that it's a good thing. We're leaving it in the hands of the homeowners, the taxpayers, and I think the Board of Selectmen are very much for that. We've done it before. We're just going to do it again.
Sticking with financial issues, here's one that probably no one in town meeting has ever heard discussed before. Legal damages budget. This is Article 3.
Article 3,
What
yes.
is the legal damages budget?
Well, in our legal budget, we have a legal budget every year. There is a portion of that budget that is called legal damages, and that is someone who is harmed by the town in some way, and that we have to make them whole. It could be that a plow blade during the winter knocked down your fence. It could be that a pothole was hit that was we were notified and didn't finish it in time. It could be that a police or fire engine banged into your house. Okay. In this instance, it could be that there was a water main break and that people sustained some damages. So, Article 3 is really about October of 2015. Green Street suffered a
I was just going to ask if this is
water,
where we were.
This is where we're going. A major water break there, where we actually went to that November town meeting last year and got extra money to pave the road because of what happened.
Right.
It was Columbus Day weekend of last year. There are a number of houses on Green and on Main that got damaged. And what happened was, well, first of all, people filed claims with their insurance companies. Their insurance company denied it because it's an act of God in their policies. Those went into the town's insurance policy. Town's insurers said, nope, that's an act of God, so we're denying it. There was a woman at town meeting that said in November of last year, or maybe it was in the spring, saying that she looked down into that hole and she didn't see Jesus in there, so it was not an act of God. That was a great line at town meeting. That'll go down in the Billy Carroll memoir when he writes his memoirs about town meeting.
It's recorded somewhere.
It's recorded somewhere. So the selectmen and I have talked about this, and I think that, part of what makes Wakefield a great community is that, we do step up for our own. And there are people that have suffered along there because of this. So, you know what? It is around $100,000. So to make these people whole in something that, hey, it was an accident, it wasn't on purpose, it's not going to be covered by insurance, but you know what? We are a community, and people that, sustained $12,000, $13,000, $15,000 worth of damages, filed the claim against the town, hoping to get it. It's denied by insurance. It's denied by their insurance, our insurance. Do they want to sue the town for it? No. Let's work this out. We are a community. So that's what that article is about. So that's a little bit different, Article 3. We've done it before. I mean,
sure.
We have, yeah.
Sure, but it's always good for people to know. Article 4 is the one that I think people are going to find very interesting because it treads into an area that we've not talked about from a real estate point of view. And this is the General Laws, Chapter 59, Paragraph 59A.
Yes.
Eligible persons.
Eligible persons as determined in the 21E. And 21E, everyone knows 21E, right? 21E is environmental.
Yes.
So what we have is we have a number of, and every community has this, a number of properties in their communities that are commercial, okay, business-based, that have some sort of a hazardous waste problem, okay? We can think of them off at the top of our head in Wakefield. And people say, well, how comes nothing's ever been done on this site before? Well, it's a dirty site. Oh, okay. So it kind of sits there, it languishes. And so we have a particular property, and I've spoken to the new owner of it, and he's agreed that I can mention it. It's 13-15 Albion Street. Some of you may remember that as Savage Cleaners growing up. The Cobbler.
Town Cobbler.
Town Cobbler, still there actually.
Yep.
It is a really nice looking building with some beautiful bay windows. I think probably 4 apartments could be above and 2 businesses below. So, but the problem is that during its use, we think, or it's alleged, during its use as cleaners, there was cleaning solvents dumped on the site. Years ago, we weren't as careful as a society about these things. So we have a property that will not move. It's got tax issues, non-payment of taxes that may never get paid. You have a bank loan on it that's not getting paid because it's not worth anything. The bank doesn't want to foreclose and take on the tax issues. The town doesn't want to foreclose and take on the tax issues.
Sure.
Take on the environmental issues. So we have a buyer that's come in, stepped up to the plate, that says, hey, I want to refurbish this property. Okay? So, but when you add in paying off the bank and paying off the back taxes on this, excuse me, it becomes very cost prohibitive. So
right. There's no money left over for the cleanup.
There's no money left over for the cleanup.
Right.
So and we as a community have no mechanism to go back and say, we can make a deal on back taxes. We can't do that. We have to collect them. What this adoption of this state law does, it allows the Board of Selectmen to enter into an agreement with the new owner, provided that he or she is going to clean it up, providing that it's used for business or commercial use. We can make a deal and abate or a portion or all of the back taxes that are owed, get this place cleaned up, get it back on the tax roll so it's actually creating taxes and creating taxes for the town. And we now have a vibrant storefront, on Albion Street, which is part and parcel of our downtown. So this is what this does. This is just accepting a statute that is on the books, and the method that we accept a statute like that in Wakefield is adopted by town meeting. So what this does, it accepts the statute and it creates a bylaw where the Board of Selectmen will enter into an agreement with the new owner. And that's what happens. So to me, it's great. I think it's a way that we hopefully maybe other property owners, commercial property owners will take advantage of it, because again, we're getting nothing for this property now. Let's start getting something and move forward. We often hear that, we don't do enough for the commercial property owner in town. Here's a perfect opportunity to do that.
So just so that people who are hearing this for the first time understand, this article is only for this one property.
No, this is for any property.
For any property in town.
Right.
So this will be ongoing.
That's commercial. If
another
business.
Commercial property comes up that has a waste problem, they could also benefit from this.
They could absolutely also benefit from this, yes.
Because I'm sure there are quite a few more in town.
There might be a few. And you know what it is that, on this particular property, I will tell you, we probably have $22,000 worth of taxes over the last few years that hasn't been paid. Oh, thank you. And but we'll never get that. It's prohibitive to pay that. And I'll tell you, in a case like this, the bank takes less than it's owed. The owner certainly is getting next to nothing. They just and the buyer's taking on a big responsibility. And you know what? Maybe the town should step up too to be part of that partnership to move this forward.
Especially if it's going to bring the property back into...
Exactly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have two, Articles 5 and 6, that have to do with the area that was formerly known as Our Lady of Nazareth Academy.
Yes.
Which has now been largely developed.
Yep, it's all completely developed. The roadways are completed up there. There was a public hearing in front of the Board of Selectmen on this. So this is a article that is at town meeting often. When a new subdivision comes in, everything's completed, and then the town accepts the road as a public way. A couple things happen with that is that, A, that means that we are responsible now to repair the public way in the future, and that's why they've got to jump through a lot of hoops, and the DPW director needs to be satisfied. The planning board needs to be satisfied that, hey, the roadway was completed correctly. But it also helps us in our Chapter 90 reimbursement from the state, because that is part and parcel based upon the linear feet of public ways that you have in town. So the old Nazareth Academy has been built up. I think they are, $700,000, $800,000, $900,000 homes up there. Everything's been completed, so we would be, Article 5 and 6 are accepting the two roadways up there. 2/3 vote at town meeting.
The tellers will be busy.
The tellers will be busy because they're never unanimous.
Nope. Article 7 is for the replacement and installation of water meters.
Yes.
That's a continuing project that's been going on for some time.
Sometime, trying to hit a section of the town at a time. You know what? Water and your water and sewer bill, and your sewer bill being based on, what your water meter reads. In the MWRA district where Wakefield is quite steep. And 85% of it goes to the state, and the rest of it stays here, and you run everything with that. So I think it's very important that we have very accurate and the state-of-the-art meters that actually can be read, with a wand or from a car going around and what have you very easily. So there are people that have older meters in town that, I'm not saying they're not accurate, because many of them are, but it could be that they're on their last legs. So DPW department, Director Rick Stinson has been completing an area of that area town every year. So that's going to be happening there, and that should be, but people have heard this at town meeting before. I don't anticipate a lot of questions on it, but you never know.
Then 8 is Permanent Building Committee, and there's going to be a motion on that one.
On the Walton School. This is, people may recall that in the spring of, in the June town meeting of 2016, we did put money into doing a feasibility study of the Walton School, and there was overcrowding issues and what have you in there. So that feasibility study is ongoing. They've been out to the school. They're putting some packages together on it. What we did is we held the place on the warrant for this, because this warrant has to be posted and everything ahead of time. You can't just walk in and discuss anything at town meeting, as we know. So in this instance, what I'm hearing now, what I believe will happen as of today, is that we're not quite ready to go up and really have that presentation that the community deserves at town meeting. There needs to be community discussion about this. There needs to be teachers, parents, townspeople involved. We don't have all the facts yet because the feasibility study isn't quite done there. So my feeling is this will probably be postponed to the spring. Today being October, 19th?
Yep.
I've seen stranger things happen in 2 weeks, but I think that that's probably what will happen. Or less than 2 weeks now, I guess.
Week and a half.
Yeah.
Scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then last but not least, we're going to have for Article 9 a discussion on authorizing the establishment of a revolving fund pursuant to General Laws, Chapter
44, Section 53E.
Okay, that must have been cut off here. Yeah, okay. To be spent by the school department.
So what this is, as we know, the school department has entered into a very aggressive, with the town, a very aggressive campaign regarding our electronic devices. And in fact, at the high school, there is a bring your own device program there, where they're all linked in. You have kids in grades 3 and 4 and in the middle school getting Chromebooks and working on that. So really, technology is really a big part of what we do today at the school department. It does save money on books, on the actual textbooks, but that's where society's going anyway. So there are, damages that happen during the year. There are people that are less fortunate that maybe can't get their own devices.
Right.
And so what the school department is setting up is kind of a pay-to-play sort of thing, to use one of the political things that's running around right now, is that they will set up a revolving fund where money can be donated and put in here to use for computer repairs. Someone loses it, they're buying a new one, someone breaks it, they've got to replace what they did. There's got to be a mechanism to do that. And so this will be established at town meeting, and we'll come back every year to see where they are. So that's what school department has asked to have, and that will hopefully be the last article at that town meeting. It will be done quickly.
Well, we're thinking one night.
Absolutely one night.
Yep.
I can't think why we wouldn't be more than one night, but you never know.
We have a couple of minutes left. What else is coming up on the horizon that we can look toward?
Well, we have some very interesting community forums happening and community discussions. One is on November 1st, and that is at the high school, the Savings Bank Theater at the high school.
Yep.
And that is to, we brought back Peg Barringer, who did that wonderful market assessment for the downtown in Wakefield. And she is going to have, she presented that to the Board of Selectmen. This will be an open forum where people can come and ask questions. I will be moderating it. And you know what? We really want to get what people have to think about that. This is a great report that she did. Talks a lot about our demographics, what she thinks could and wouldn't work. We were having areas of sales leakage, money that's going out of Wakefield. We certainly want to make that available to the businesses and to the property owners. Hey, tracked, would a woman's shoe store do really well in Wakefield? A lot of people want to get more retail. So she's going to be there. She is, goes all over the country and does these things. So she is very well respected. Part and parcel of that will be the Main Streets program is probably going to give an update on what they're doing.
Yep.
And the MAPC is going to come in at the end, I believe, and talk about this other very exciting study that we have going on. That's going to dovetail us into November 17th. November is going to be a busy month. November 17th is where we are going to start our public forums through the MAPC regarding the Arts Cultural District. We think it's arts, culture, and commerce. And looking at that Albion Street corridor that is linking, as you have said, we have the downtown Wakefield, Main Street.
Yep.
We have North Ave that's growing. This is the T to connect it. And so we're going to be looking at that too. And again, these are open to the community. We want to get people's input and ideas. And how do we really develop those items right down in there? I mean, I think these are very exciting. The MAPC cost is a grant that we received through the our state delegation. Donald Wong, Paul Broder, and Senator Lewis, Jason Lewis. They really see the need. They've been in town a lot to help us and to revitalize ourselves economically. So a lot of exciting stuff happening. Let's hope the weather's good. So people will get out there. That is going to be November 17th in the evening at the Civic Center.
The other thing that's coming up in November, and this will be, I think, the third one. The first one a year ago was enormously successful, and that's Wakefield 101
Wakefield
for new
101.
residents.
Yes, that is a Saturday in November. I can't think of the name of the time. It might be November 5th. Does that sound like that's a Saturday? Maybe.
That is a Saturday.
Saturday, so I think it's November 5th. And yes, new residents love it. In fact, I was at the Randolph at the Department of Revenue going to a seminar a few weeks ago, and the woman checking us in said, where you're from, Wakefield? She says, I love Wakefield. I said, really? What do you know about, how do you know Wakefield? She says, I live there. Told me where she lived. She says, I went to that 101 thing that you guys had at the library. It was fabulous. And I said, well, thank you. And that's a great job by, the Chamber of Commerce is involved, our library's involved, people at the ACE Center, Chris Carino and that group are involved. It's fabulous. And we will have 100 people there that are all new, and I hope that they, get involved in the town. So it's really kind of fun to see where people have come from. And I enjoy it. I'll be there. We did it on a weeknight before, and now we're going to do it a Saturday morning.
Right. The first one a year ago was just a huge
it was in the
success.
spring. Yeah, and that was kind of like everybody for
it was
the
in
last couple
November.
of years. Was that in November?
Was it?
No, I think it was in the spring.
No, it was in the spring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to do one in the spring, one in the fall.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
just like town meeting, hopefully. One in the spring, one in the fall. Perfect timing.
Excellent. Well, as usual, we have run through our half hour.
Yeah, always run
Just to
through.
remind everyone, we have town meeting coming up on Monday, November 7th at 7 p.m.
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Half hour earlier than it's
Right.
been in the past. November 8th is Election Day. Please, everyone, get out and vote.
And
this
on
is
the-
your
right.
chance to have your say.
And you can vote early, starting Monday the 24th. You can go to Town Hall and vote early.
There you go. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next month.
Thank you.